Hey everybody, this is Kristen and I have the clue number 8 for our Cotton Cups Puzzle Mystery Quilt. So if you're working on multiple ones, this is for the fall 2018 this way and that way theme. And I'm doing the small size instead of the large size. So you might see that my clue is a little bit different than yours if you have a large. So inside of your package, you're going to have your what's inside list and your how to put it together list. Make sure you have that handy while you do this. You're also going to have a block of the month card, which this month is Pineapple Block. And on the back is a coloring sheet. So what you do is you fill out the coloring sheet and you post it to social media with the hashtag #CCColorChallenge, and you are entered to win 2 yards of fabric. It's a really good deal, guys. I've been coloring them and then forgetting to put them on social media, so maybe you guys can actually do a little bit better than me and post them. So definitely check that out. That would be pretty awesome to win some fabric. And then we have all of our pre-cut fabrics to make this month's clue. And this is it. We're making 2 of these. Super simple, quick, easy this month. I'm gonna make the other one for you so you guys can see what all goes into making it. For those of you who aren't gonna sew along with me, let me know how your pattern, how your puzzle mystery quilt is going. I know some of you have the same colorway as me, some of you have others. Let me know. How's it going? What do you think? Is this going to be a border? Do you think this is going to be part of the interior? I don't know. So I'm really excited. But like I said, this is clue 8, so we have only 2 more to go. So next month and then the month after that, I think we still get some fabric, and then we have the finishing instructions of how to put it all together. So I'm really excited to see what this all looks like. For those of you who are going to be sewing along with me, we'll get started in just a second, and you're going to want to make sure that you have this handy when you do any of your sewing, because this tells you, obviously, fabrics 1 through 6, which corresponds, because our sheets are black and white and it just gives us numbers, because obviously when you have 12 or whatever colorways, it's going to be a big pain to specialize them. So that's why we have these guys. Alright, make sure you measure your pieces of fabric before you get going. Just make sure that they're the right size. And if you do have anything that's missing or incorrectly sized, they have a website. It says please phone or email us with all the information, and you can go on their Cotton Cuts website, and I think there's actually like a Puzzle Mystery Quilt like support or help button that you can use. So hopefully everything is good to go, and we'll breeze through this month's and be on to the ever so frustrating and sad 1 month wait until we get our next one. Alright, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you liked my video, and hit the notification so you never miss one of my videos. And if you're going to sew along with me, stand by. Alright, hopefully you guys are all set up and you have your pieces of fabric, you have your directions and everything else ready to go. Since we are only doing 2 pieces this month and they're identical, so essentially we only are sewing one thing together today, it's going to go together really quick and easy. So get your pattern out, and I like to separate out my fabrics. So initially you're going to use a small rectangle and 2 squares. So I'm going to have those right out in front of me, make it really easy. And what you're going to do, or at least what I do, is right in front of my machine, and I can actually, there you go. So right in front of my machine is where I lay everything out. So you're going to start with a number 2, which is going to be your little rectangle. Next to that is going to be a 4. Yep, really hard to see on how dark the pattern is on this, but it's going to be a 4, which for me is my orange. And then you're going to do your small rectangle again. And then you're going to do a number 3. And you're going to repeat that one more time. So then it's going to be small rectangle, your number 4, another small rectangle, and I put 2 down at the last one, there we go, and then my last piece. So that's what we're going to sew together today. So I'm just going to flip the small rectangles on top of the large squares, and I'm going to pin them, and I am just going to run through and sew all of those guys together and make it nice and easy and quick. Like I said, this month does not take any time at all. There's no bias seams to worry about. There's no, you know, multiple different types of blocks that we're putting together. Just some rectangles and some squares. So super, super easy. Okay. So I've got these guys pinned together, and now I'm going to sew it together, and then we'll be back. Alright, so you're going to notice that I already have my leader here, and this is just a little piece of scrap fabric that helps me get my stitches started, and that way it doesn't eat into my nice fabric. I'm going to hold the tails so I don't have to re-thread this guy. Get it a couple stitches past my starter or my leader, and then I'm just going to do scant 1/4 inch seam. Pretty much everything in quilting is a scant 1/4 inch unless the directions tell you otherwise. So definitely worth getting good at that. I have a 1/4 inch foot, which really helps me. And I found it so much easier and so much quicker and so much more accurate since I got that. So definitely consider getting one if you don't have it yet. So I'm just going to run through stitching these guys up, and just make sure you're going at the speed that's comfortable for you. Don't feel like you have to go at my speed or the speed of anybody else, doesn't matter who they are. Go at a speed that works for you, and something that you're not getting stressed about, something that you can keep your stitching at the 1/4 inch seam length, or width rather. You'll get faster eventually, but you know, as you're starting, and I had such a problem with this, because I really wanted to go fast, and I wanted to be done, and I wanted to see results. And my seams were horrible. Not gonna lie, I was terrible. So yeah, you might have to conquer yourself and actually just do your slower speed for a while until you get used to it, and that's okay. Alright, so I'm gonna grab my leader. Actually, almost forgot that I have another piece that I could use for an ender. So I'll just get this guy started again. And then clip. So I've got all 4 of these chained together. I'm gonna clip them apart, and then we're gonna go over to the pressing mat and press them. I've got my pieces, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it with the big square on top. And I'm going to just press the seam. Remember, we don't do any weird motions, we just press down. It's called pressing, not ironing. And then roll back that seam. Be careful not to push too hard. You don't want to be able to see your stitching inside of this line at all. If you do, you definitely pressed and you pushed too hard. So just make sure you don't see that. Just gently roll it over. Let it sit on that seam for a second so it gets a nice, good set. And come on. We're going to do that to all 4 of them. And once they're all 4 pressed, we're going to go back to the sewing machine and we're going to put those together. Remember that order that we laid it out initially? We're going to put those together so that I have a one with an orange and one with a blue sewn together, and then eventually we're gonna combine all 4 of those. So let's go get these put together. All right, so I wanted you to be able to see what I lay out again. So remember, you're gonna do a 2 and a 4, so in my case it's the orange. And then next to that, I'm gonna do a 2 touching a 3. So you're gonna do that. I'm gonna flip those over right sides together and pin. So this is gonna be the next section that we sew together. Do the same with the other one. Lay it out like so. Flip it over and pin. Like I said, this month is super quick and easy. Shouldn't have much trouble putting this together, even if you have a hectic life. So let's move. You can see it sewing. There you go. And so mine's already started. Get it positioned and get to sewing. So I'm going to sew these guys up and then press them. Basically doing the same thing as before. I'm going to press it towards the square so that I have it doing the same thing on all of them. And then I will be back and we'll put these 2 pieces together. Got my 2 pieces already ready to go, sitting here. So remember, it's fabric 2, fabric 4, 2, 3, and then we move into the second one, right? So it should be 2, 4, 2, 3. So you're gonna have your 2 and your 4s lining up again. Oh, sorry, 2 and 3. Excuse me. So you should have 2 on one end, 3 on the other, and those should be the ones touching. So just like before. Going to do a quick pin. I'm gonna sew the line, and then I'm gonna press it. One thing that I would suggest when you go to your pressing mat is take those long strips. So in our package this month, we got some really long strips, but they were folded over. So what I would suggest is when you go to your pressing mat to do this one right here, is taking those strips as well, and that way you can give them a good pressing and get them flat again, just so you don't have those ripples while you're trying to attach it to this. Just gonna make it a little bit neater and hopefully a little bit easier as well. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go press this, clean up those strips, and then we'll put those together. Alrighty, so we should have your strip all nicely put together. And now you're going to want to get out your long rectangles. And these are going to go on either end. So you're going to have one that's sewn here and one that's sewn on this end. So what I like to do is match up those ends, and I'm going to put a pin on one end, and then I'm going to put a pin on the other end, and then I am just going to kind of go back and forth. I'll put a pin on the right and then a pin on the left, a pin on the right, a pin on the left, and that kind of helps to keep it from getting all wavy and wonky. Especially good when you're doing borders and really long strips like this, but I've noticed it even helps on these smaller ones. So it's a great kind of tool to have in your back pocket, so to speak. So I'm going to pin this guy, and then when I sew, there we go. When I sew, I like to sew with this side up so I can kind of control those seams a little bit better and make sure that they're laying the direction I want. Sometimes you just can't sew it that way for whatever reason. What you're making just doesn't allow it, and I'll admit there's been more than one time where I turn it around and I'm like, yeah, now my seam is twisted from one end to the other. So it happens. That's life. But I found that if I can, when I can, this works a lot better for me, just so I can manage it a little bit better. So, getting towards the middle. Let's try and make sure you're nicely leaning up, you're nicely matching up your top of the two fabrics. I also like to put a pin right here on the seam to kind of just help it lay down the direction I want. Personal preference, you don't have to do that. Alright, so now I'm going to flip it to this side, and that is how I'm going to start sewing. So give me a second, I'll reorient the camera so you can see me do that. Alright, I'm all set up. I've got it already under my presser foot, and this is one of those times too that I tend to go a little bit slower just to make sure everything lines up the way I want. I continuously check to make sure that the fabric underneath is laying where I want it against the fabric on the top. Because sometimes, especially when you're not using like a walking foot or anything like that, one fabric may have a tendency to travel and kind of scoot down, so it's not even, or at least in my machine it does that. So I often will pull pins a little bit earlier than normal, and then just stop and make sure everything's lining up. If you guys have a, what on earth, there we go, not sure how that got stuck in there, but if you guys have a better way of doing that, please let me know. Love to hear from you guys when you give me tips and tricks. I always learn a lot from you. I'm a self-taught sewist and quilter for the most part, so yeah, you're not going to offend me if you have a suggestion. I will take it all. So you can see for me, I go a little bit slow, like I said earlier, just kind of adjusting, making sure the fabric's where I want it to be. But in the end, you know, honestly, I'd rather go a little bit slower now and have it line up the way I want. And then when it comes to finishing, it all looks good. So I'm going to finish sewing this strip together. I'm going to put the other strip on it and sew that on. It's exactly the same as this one, so you guys don't really need to see me doing two of the same. If you guys disagree and you want me to do that in my next video, let me know. I'm more than happy to. It just seems redundant to me, but if that helps even one of you guys, I am more than happy to show every single piece of this. So just let me know what you think, what you need, what you want, and I will adjust accordingly. So I'm going to finish this strip up right here. Get my next piece of scrap fabric under the needle. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my pressing mat and press. And in this case, I will probably press towards this strip that we just put on, just for ease in general. That's probably the direction I'll press, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing in the direction saying you have to press one way or the other, so do what works for you, all right? So I'm going to press this, I'm going to sew on my other line, press that, and then we'll come back because there's one more piece that we still have to put on. Almost done. So we have everything together. We're only missing this one piece. So you might notice, compared to this end, which has an end piece, this end looks a little bit bare. That's where this guy goes. So you're going to line them right sides together just like anything else. Give it a couple pins. I'm gonna sew it, and this is the end of this clue for this month. So, like I said, super quick, super easy. As long as you're pairing, you know, the right colors together in the right order, you are good to go. So, let me those together, or sew it, and we'll be done. All right. Final stitch. Da, da, da. So I apologize for the weird transition. I was editing my videos and putting it all together and went, that last little piece somehow didn't get saved or didn't get transferred. So hence the different look, all that jazz. Anyway, so you should have 2 of these guys now, and that will be our month, or clue 8. That takes care of that. So the one big thing that I wanted to point out to you guys is, you probably already have an email about this, but on the back where we get our clues, so these are actually the wrong clue like tags or things to, oh, I don't know what you want to call them, the little things to mark your quilt, because clearly we don't have 8 pieces. At least in the small, I have 2, so it should be M1 and M2. Sorry, M1 and M2, not J1 through 8. So just make sure that you either mark that on your own piece of paper, or they have emailed everybody out the instructions that have it corrected on the back too, so you can just download that and put new ones in if you like. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put everything back in my nifty difty little bag that it came in, and that way I just keep everything together. I don't think I have anything else to tell you guys for this month, but hit subscribe, hit the notification button so you never miss a video, and give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. I love hearing from you guys too, so if you have questions, comments, concerns, leave me a message below. Alright, I don't think I have anything else for you. Like I said, there'll be the spring clue shipping soon, maybe even like 2 days, if I'm not mistaken, because I think we're almost into March, aren't we? I think tomorrow's the last day of February. So, yeah, it's going to be shipping soon, and so I'll have that video out soon as well. Alright everybody, have a wonderful night, day, morning, whatever it is where you are, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.